Today text with Greg Stafford. We meet every weekday morning at 5 a.m. to consider a portion of the biblical record or other related texts so that we can better our knowledge and understanding of the past and apply it to our lives today. We're working our way through the letter of James, and I'm going to be reading verses 17 through 21. You should be able to follow along with me in the text in the description. I will also be reading a section of Matthew chapter 13 that's referenced in the morning at 5 a.m. Okay, looks like our sound is good. Sorry about that earlier. Did a morning show earlier, but I switch the mics frequently because I do Hollywood Garbage Dump reviews, CW Jaw Talk, and then on these morning shows I don't use the mic, the snowball mic. I use the video cam mic because it's enough, and I don't want anything in my way. You know, I gesture a lot. So in any case, that's what happened with the mic. So I appreciate that. I thought for sure I had it set right, but I change it frequently now because of the dump reviews. So I have to be more careful to check that every time now. So let's get right to the text. Okay. Let's take a look at James chapter 1, verses 17 through 21. I'm going to read those texts. Then I'm going to read a section from Matthew 13, and then we'll make an application. I'll check your questions, and we'll be on our way. All right, James 1:17. Each needed, timely item of value in life, and each gift not lacking in anything, is from a higher source, as it descends from the Father of mortals, with whom there is no trickery or sleight of hand. Willing it, he brought us forth in a word of truth, for us to be a sort of first offering of his creatures. You know this, my beloved brothers. Every man must be quick when it comes to listening. He must be slow when it comes to speaking, and he must be slow concerning anger. For the anger of a man cannot bring about the righteousness of God. Verse 21, for this reason, with humility, you put aside all forms of terrible behavior and excessive badness, as you did in fact accept the sown word that is able to save your souls. And so you notice I referenced there in the description Matthew 13, in James 1:21, with reference to accepting the sown word. Now I had put Matthew 13:18 through 23 in the description, but it looks like it didn't save. So I'm going to read it to you. I'll put it back in the description, but you can, of course, read it on your own. Now listen to this and what Jesus says about the word, the sown word. Remember, that's what James speaks of in verse 21. You did, in fact, accept the sown word that is able to save your souls. So let's go to Matthew 13:18. Here's what Jesus says. He says, you then listen to the illustration of the man that sowed. Where anyone hears the word of the kingdom, but does not get the sense of it, the wicked one comes and snatches away what has been sown in his heart. This is the one sown along the road. As for the one sown upon the rocky places, this is the one hearing the word and at once accepting it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but continues for a time, and after tribulation or persecution has arisen on account of the word, he is at once stumbled. Matthew 13:22. As for the one sown among the thorns, this is the one hearing the word. See, they're talking about the sown word. But the anxiety of the system of things and the deceptive power of riches choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful, or he becomes unfruitful. Last verse, Matthew 13:23. As for the one sown upon the fine soil, this is who James is talking about in James 1:21. This is the one hearing the word and getting the sense of it, who really does bear fruit and produces, this one 100-fold, that one 60, the other 30. So when we read about accepting the sown word that is able to save our souls, this is what James is talking about. The response that we have had to the great message. And if you're like me and you're speaking and teaching these things because you've responded Well, that's because we're producing. You know, it's not. You don't need to take it in a literal sense. If you've helped 100, you've helped 60, you've helped 30. You don't know how many you've helped, right? I mean, because we're online, we speak to people offline. We're talking to people every day, probably. So how do we know how far that word that we have spoken progresses? Maybe we come back and contact people and we can see, but we may not even realize how much we have produced. Just think of all the people you've talked to and all the messages you've given, written or oral. Those have an effect. They change people, even if you don't realize it and don't come to know until later. So, yeah, you're lucky, Betsy, because I went off for a good long time, I think 12 minutes, but no one could hear me. So, either way, we're back to our audio quality. So I'm glad, though, that others got a chance to hear it. And when I first started out, you know, what you guys couldn't hear, I don't think it was that worth hearing. I mean, I was a little bit, I don't want to say depressed, but I wasn't in my normal state of mind because I'm dealing with so many people in the world they just don't care about some things. And that's fine, but, you know, I care. And I know you care. So when we care and others don't care, you know, it's not always the greatest feeling. But that's why we have to keep going forward, not lose our joy, and continue doing these texts because they help us to remember things that we can forget. I was forgetting that even as I was ready to do my day text. I was thinking about things that were depressing me. I gotta not do that. But, you know, I start doing things before I get on here, and I got involved in something that just wasn't as pleasurable as doing these day texts. And so it kind of got me off my normal sense of mind. Maybe that's why I forgot to check the audio. Either way, we have to deal with these things. So it's not unexpected. It just has an effect on us, right? We're all humans. We're affected by things. We like to be appreciated. We like to have joy. We don't like to see people depressed or acting in ways that are hurting them and they don't care. So, you know, that's why it's good to join together like this and in other ways so that we can exchange information and be encouraging. We're not going to get that as often in the world. And so having these opportunities to meet like this is really a blessing. And I thank you all for it. I think what we say has a much greater effect. I'm looking at the questions here. We just don't see it all. You know, we think of how many things we say about Jah and Jesus and things we try to teach to point people in the right direction, to keep ourselves going in the right direction, right? I think it's helping. I think we are helping people. We're helping ourselves. We're praising Jah. We just have to keep going, no matter how difficult it gets, no matter how many people tell us they don't want to do what we do. That's fine. We can understand why they don't have faith, they're not adding it up, or they just care about other things more than we do. We can't always figure out why people respond or don't respond. It's their soil. It's the condition in which the word is planted that allows them either to accept it or reject it. And there's several different types of soil, according to the account in Matthew 13, that I think we've all seen, or maybe even gone through ourselves at times in ways where maybe we weren't as productive. We didn't get the sense of the word, and then we did. Then we got it. We grasped it, and we produced. We started showing faith, and then that helped other people. It inspired potentially others to see what we saw. And so the more we talk about these things, I think we will only do more and more good for Jah and Jesus, regardless of how we may feel. That is, if we get depressed or downhearted, because not everything goes the way we want. That's life. But it's not the life. The life is serving Jah. And He's the one who gave us life, who made us to do the things that we do, all the creatures, all the things, all the places. Humans did not do that. We just changed them into things that we think are better, but that usually aren't, and that involve more effort and money and resources to maintain. Whereas if we just relied on Jah, He would provide everything. Yes. Yes, that's true. Because, you know, our emotions, they really are powerful, and they can change our state of mind and affect us in ways where we can go from being productive to being totally ineffective. I don't want to do that. I want to stay motivated, stay active. That's why I do these texts, because I know it's one way for me to stay involved with you and with the Word so that I don't lose it. And we keep growing and praising Jah. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to maintain my devotion to Jah and my belief in Jesus, and I'm going to try to keep working with all of you in every way that I can to promote the truth so we can make this world a better place and we can get ready for the next. All right. Okay, now I'm ready. Now I'm back. Earlier, I was not myself. I was thinking about things other than the Word and these texts. But now I'm back. Now I have my motivation, my center again. So now I'm ready. I'm going to do some garbage dump reviews. I have everything back in order mentally. I do have to do some work this morning though. So my plan for today is I have to get some secular work done. And then when I get back, I do have another garbage dump review. These things are amazing, the stuff I find in them. And then this Saturday, I will be putting up soon the official title for CW Jah Talk number 14, the divine name in the New Testament. So I hope you will all join me Saturday, 8:30 Pacific time, AM Pacific Standard Time, this Saturday. And I've got some good images, some good content, but I'll be looking for your questions. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll continue our reading through the letter of James. And I thank you all for joining me. You help build me up. I want to try to build you up. That's my goal, to build you up so we can all praise Jah together. But when I get down, I do appreciate your comments and your expressions. So it makes me feel better again. That's why I'm glad we're building this community so that I can get encouragement from you. And then I can give it back as well. So in any case, that's the goal, right? Praise Jah, follow Jesus, and treat others the way we want to be treated. 3 things, 3 most important things, around which, of course, we do many other things. But those are the 3 most important that I find if we focus on and we do above and beyond all else, then everything else will fall into line. It's only when we get off of those things that we tend to lose focus. So I'm going to remind myself of that today. I ask you to do the same, and then we'll be back tomorrow for another day text from the letter of James.